This year, the 6th generation of Suzuki city car, the Swift, is arriving in European car showrooms. The design is fresher and sportier, and the subcompact also comes with more security features. However, many of these features, like the weaving alert function and lane departure warning, only come as standard at higher trim levels. Currently, 4 trim levels are offered for the Swift. Car tester Michelle Assenmacher says that when she was practicing to get her driver's license, the Suzuki Swift was her dream car, but she's never got to drive one until today. The most noticeable change in the new generation is in the design. The car's pronounced shoulders and the rear door handles, which are almost hidden in the blacked-out C-pillar, make for a positive first impression. The Swift's length has been cut by 1 centimeter and its height by 3 compared to the previous model. Its new shape is rounder and yet edgier. At the back, the car boasts new vertical taillights. The Swift's new stockier look is meant to underscore the Super Mini sportiness and agility. Michelle's first impression of the Swift is generally positive, but she finds the travel on the gear shift a little too long and the suspension is set a little too soft. The new Swift is a lightweight. It tips the scales at just under 915 kilos, and that's including the driver. That takes 120 kilos off its predecessor's weight, making it zippier on the street. Michelle says her test car has a 1-liter booster jet engine with an integrated starter generator. It's a hybrid that recharges its battery through braking energy recuperation, so coasting to a stop at traffic lights saves on fuel, a definite plus in city traffic. But the engine can do more than that. The 1-liter booster jet features the SVHS mild hybrid system and delivers 82 kilowatts of power. It's also turbocharged, which helps the city car get around a little faster. With a top speed of 195 kilometers an hour, the Swift lives up to its name. The car can accelerate from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 10.6 seconds. Fuel consumption is rated at 4.3 liters per 100 kilometers. The new Swift starts at just under 14,000 euros in Germany, but our test car costs over 5,000 euros more. A diesel engine isn't offered. But what's the Suzuki like inside? Michelle says the new Swift's infotainment system is self-explanatory. Instead of buttons, there's a touchscreen interface, which she personally likes a lot. The Super Mini's interior is also plain and straightforward. The abundance of hard plastic is set off with chrome trim, and the instrument cluster features a digital display in the center. Even after Suzuki lowered the car's height, the Swift is still quite roomy. Michelle says the Suzuki Swift is a nice little runabout, though she preferred the old model's more angular front to this rounder one. Still, it's definitely a good alternative if you're in the market for a fun little car. In Ines Petri's experience, most SUVs and off-roaders lead uneventful existences on city streets. She'll be testing both the VW Amarok with its V6 diesel and the VW Caddy All-Track. Both sport VW's 4Motion all-wheel drive, so she can see just how off-road they can really be. She starts out in the Amarok. A switch activates the off-road mode. One effect is to change the throttle response. When switching gears, it moves the switching points higher, while the electronic stability program allows more wheel spin and side slip angle than it would on city streets. But even with all the technology, the drivers still have to adapt their style to the surface below. The ground is so muddy here, Ines feels, as if she were driving through butter. She knows in situations like this, she has to keep her foot on the gas pedal, carefully and steadily feeding the engine to keep the systems working optimally and prevent the vehicle from losing traction completely. She can't let it plow up the ground. That would certainly detract from her driving experience. She keeps her foot on the gas, lightly but steadily, and if one wheel should lose traction, the thrust goes to the other three. The V6 diesel unit in this Amarok with the Highline equipment line puts out 165 kilowatts. An 8-speed automatic transmission sends the 550 Newton-meters of maximum torque to the four wheels, so the Amarok can take inclines up to 45 degrees almost without effort. Ines explains that switching to off-road mode also activates the hill descent control, so she can take her foot off the gas and just hold the steering wheel straight, and the car does the rest. It edges down the slope at a steady walking speed. Ines confirms that, indeed, it works. The Amarok is a product of VW's Commercial Vehicles division. So is the Caddy, the smallest of VW's utility vehicle range. It's often used commercially in town as a panel van or by families in its high-roof van body style. The all-track version we tested has features that toughen it up, such as a skid plate. And its all-wheel drive carries it reliably through ankle-deep mud. Ines points out that the Caddy All-Track's increased clearance lets her venture off-road, and she's surprised at how well it does. With the all-wheel drive, muddy spots are no problem at all. In town, the driver will normally be running on front-wheel drive to save fuel, but in critical situations, in curves or on slick road surfaces, the all-wheel drive is always at the ready and helps to enhance safety. Now back in the Amarok, yet more obstacles loom ahead. Neither mud nor water can keep this robust pickup from its appointed rounds. Ines has found a vast mud puddle as a highlight, or low point, of her test drive, and it's child's play for the Amarok. The Amarok can handle water up to 50 centimeters deep. What Ines especially likes about the Amarok is that it brings two worlds together. Looking around the interior, in particular the rear seats, she feels like she's in a regular passenger car. It's the cargo space that makes it a utility vehicle, and that has no bearing on its off-road capabilities. Ines points out another reason for picking the Amarok is just to show off in town with the pickup look. But the Amarok's natural habitat is off the road. Its V6 diesel provides enough power, and the 4-motion all-wheel drive and other technological perks give it all it needs to get from A to B. Our off-road test put the Caddy All-Track through its paces, and it proved it's not just another pretty SUV face. Even if it has to defer to real all-terrainers for the truly rugged patches when it comes to reliability off the pavement, its all-wheel drive makes it a match for the bigger utility vehicles in every sense. There's a new addition to Mercedes-Benz GT family, the AMG GTC Roadster. The convertible's V8 twin-turbo engine delivers a whopping 410 kilowatts of power. That propels the racer from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in just 3.7 seconds and lets it hit a top speed of 316 kilometers an hour. A performance exhaust system ensures nobody's got to miss out on that mighty V8 roar. Opel has launched its new flagship, the brand new Insignia Grand Sport. It's based on an all-new architecture, making the Insignia Grand Sport up to 175 kilograms lighter than its predecessor. It's lower too, yet at the same time offers more interior space. Plus, this is the first ever Opel with torque vectoring all-wheel drive. In Germany, an entry-level Insignia Grand Sport will set you back 26,000 euros. Car tester Ronnie Levstek announces that today he's going to work some muscles of a Chevrolet muscle car. And Chevy's muscle car is, of course, the Camaro. It's been in production for over 50 years. Now it's time for the car maker to roll out the anniversary model. And this is it. And Ronnie can't wait to see how it handles on the street. So, off he goes. The Camaro was first presented in 1966 and hit showroom floors in 1967. Now the 50th anniversary edition is the 6th generation to carry on the traditions of design and performance that Camaro has stood for right from the start. But is it still the muscle car it once was, or closer to a run-of-the-mill European sports car? Ronnie knows this Camaro's kept the familiar American engine configuration, a V8, to be precise, a 6.2-liter. He doesn't even want to get started on the fuel consumption, but focuses instead on the sound it makes when he accelerates. The new Camaro is shorter, slimmer, and lighter than its predecessor. The V8 puts out 333 kilowatts and lays a maximum 617 newton-meters of torque on the asphalt. That carries it from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 4.6 seconds. He says performance like that is enough to make any connoisseur's mouth water. Average fuel consumption is rated at 12.8 liters per 100 kilometers, but Ronnie's somewhat sporty driving pushed it closer to 15 liters. What he really likes is the 6-speed manual transmission. He never would have thought you could shift so easily and precisely on such a gigantic engine. Transmission and engine together all but guaranteed dynamic handling.
Gepaart mit dem Motor garantiert ein dynamisches Fahrverhalten.
Ronnie rates the performance as comparatively good. A magnetic ride suspension adapts the damping system to the road conditions automatically, a bit unusual for muscle cars with their typically squishy leaf springs. That just fascinates him all the more. Performance isn't the only plus for the new Chevrolet Camaro. The 6th generation is also quite a looker. The emblems and badging for the anniversary edition are only minor details. This Camaro looks sleeker and more angular than its predecessor. The rounded contours have disappeared almost completely. Inside as well, Chevrolet has obviously done its homework and left out the slapdash, cheap-looking materials typical of many other American cars. The workmanship here is high quality. Ronnie feels almost like he's sitting inside a mailbox. It's as if he's looking through 3 visor slits, or 4, but he doesn't count the rear windshield since he can't see anything through it anyway. He describes the all-round visibility as miserable. He doesn't mean to say he can't see anything at all, but he's glad to have a rear vision camera to help him back into parking spaces. A Camaro with its V8 engine lists for a good 45,900 euros, a handsome price for this car. It offers good performance and the interior comfort typical of American cars. That includes a state-of-the-art entertainment system and, of course, the unmistakable Camaro look. Ronnie would wholeheartedly recommend it, and if that V8 guzzles too much fuel, there's always the choice of a 2-liter turbocharged engine. Škoda has launched a Sportline version of its flagship Superb series. This new trim line boasts a new sporty look, both outside and in. Our car tester Matas Kurat says you won't necessarily be much faster than if you drive any other Škoda Superb model, but you'll certainly get a sportier feel. The Sport line comes with different seats and a slightly restyled interior and exterior, so overall it's got a much more dynamic look. More on that later. However, the Superb Sport line is by no means slow or sluggish. Matas says the Sport line comes with a choice of drive modes: the fuel-saving Eco mode, an airy comfort mode, a normal setting, and a sport mode that shifts the suspension, engine, and steering to a more athletic setting. Two different 2-liter turbo diesel engines are available for the Superb Sport line. The more powerful delivers 140 kilowatts, allowing the Škoda to accelerate from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in under 8 seconds, and to reach a max speed of 233 kilometers an hour. Škoda's designers have given the Superb Sport line a razor-sharp look. You can recognize its sporty credentials right away from its black radiator grille frame, black wing mirror housings, and striking alloy wheels. The car also comes with a lowered suspension and a black rear diffuser with chrome elements. At 4.86 meters in length, the station wagon has ample space for passengers and even more passengers. The station wagon has a cargo capacity of between 660 and 1,950 liters. That's much more than Opel's Insignia Sports Tourer or VW's Passat variant can offer. The Škoda Superb Sport line comes with sport seats featuring integrated headrests. Matas says Škoda is proud of their simply clever design features. That, for instance, includes this pocket in the door where you can store your safety vest, or this small lid contraption that lets you attach a 20 by 30 centimeter garbage bag. But Matas says that attaching a garbage bag is really fiddly. You've got to be careful not to get your finger caught in this contraption. He notes that there's actually very little room for the garbage bag itself inside the door pocket. It's not exactly deep. He thinks if you put a garbage bag in there, you couldn't toss much in it. Matas tested one of the 2 diesel engines on offer, but 3 gasoline engines are also available for the Superb Sport line. Their output ranges between 110 and 206 kilowatts. Every model can also be fitted with a direct shift gearbox. In Germany, the Superb Sport line has a base price of just over 36,000 euros. Matas admits there are other cars of similar size as the Škoda Superb and an equally spacious interior. They might come with a few additional features here and there that the Superb might not offer, and they might boast premium materials, but these cars are also much more expensive. That's why Matas thinks the Škoda Superb is a good choice for anyone who's simply looking for a spacious station wagon.
Viel Platz braucht, eine sehr gute Wahl ist.
In Germany, Mercedes E-Class wagon, for example, costs at least 50,000 euros, but offers less trunk space than Škoda's Superb Sport line. On the Baltic Sea island of Rügen, classic car expert Christoph Bauer is driving a lovely old car with a lovely name, the Borgward Isabella. Built in 1954, it was the brainchild of engineer and industrialist Carl F.W. Borgward. Our car tester Christoph Bauer says today there are vehicles to suit every niche, from off-road sports cars to four-door coupes. But in the 1950s, it was a different story. Mid-range sedans boasted plenty of room, but offered little driving pleasure. So thank goodness car maker Carl W. Borgward from Bremen had a heart for family men who liked to put the pedal to the metal. His Isabella was both family-friendly and fun to drive. The German sport sedan was born. At the start, the Isabella experienced some teething problems, but that was little wonder. The entire vehicle was developed in just 10 months. Borgward was famous for his authoritarian leadership style, and he alone chose the car's name.
Isabella.
Christoph says that Carl Borgward named it Isabella on a whim. When his engineers showed him the first prototype and asked him what to call the car, he waved his hand and said tersely, "What do I care? Call it Isabella." Christoph says, "Kudos, Mr. Borgward. A good name for a good car." In the 1950s, the Isabella was a cut above the competition in Germany in terms of both looks and technology. At 7,000 Deutschmarks, it cost more than a VW Beetle, but less than a Mercedes Ponton. But as far as performance was concerned, the Isabella left both models eating its dust. Christoph says it can go from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 25 seconds and had a top speed of 135 kilometers an hour. That might not sound very impressive today, but in the 50s that meant it could overtake more than half the cars on German roads. In 1955, Carl Borgward went even farther with the Isabella TS. With a top speed of 150 kilometers an hour, it set the European standard in its class. Its great suspension made it a real curve hugger. Borgward had already attracted attention with the Hansa 1500's monocoque, ponton body back in 1949. Its successor, the Isabella, was more elegant. With its opulent chrome trim, it resembled the American cars of the 1950s. But the Isabella's curves and refined roofline also lent it a style all its own. With seat benches in the front and back, the Isabella can seat 6 adults comfortably. That was the secret to the model's success, pairing sportiness with a dash of luxury. The reliable 4-cylinder engine with its side-mounted camshaft had already been used to power the Hansa 1500. Thanks to its fabulous suspension, the Isabella is nimble on curves. Only one thing puts a spanner in the works. Christoph says the steering column gear shift was absolutely state-of-the-art in the 50s. Even Porsche thought about putting the gear shift for its 356 behind the steering wheel, but Ferry Porsche said no. Thank goodness, he says, as this construction really hinders quick gear changes and sporty driving. But even this little flaw can't spoil the great package that is the Isabella. Over 200,000 Isabellas were sold between 1952 and 1964. The model was Carl Borgward's biggest success. None of the other vehicles he produced under the Borgward, Goliath, or Lloyd brands were as popular. Christoph says the Isabella was Borgward's greatest triumph. It was Germany's first sporty mid-range sedan and the dream machine of family cars. He says the Isabella spawned a whole new vehicle class, making it a true milestone in automotive history. Still, the car couldn't save the Borgward company. Plagued by financial troubles, political intrigues, and bad planning, Germany's largest privately run car maker was forced to declare bankruptcy in 1961.